want to say 15 years?
Yeah.
And he has our utmost respect for all of the hours he puts in. He's both a firefighter and an EMT, and he also volunteers with our closest neighboring department in Rossland. Do you want to come up?
Oh. Yeah, talk about shy. Well, good morning. Thank you for the introduction. And I really want to thank the commissioners also for allowing me the opportunity to not only serve you, but to serve alongside some of the finest members in this community, the volunteers of District 6. Yes, and thank you all for coming for the dedication and open house of the new station. In the last decade, this district has grown quite a bit. And I don't know, most of you maybe know that our second station is across the street, the little garage. So we desperately needed this, and it will serve the community very well. And before I turn the floor back to Denise, the chair of the commission, by the way, I'd just like to touch just briefly on what it is to be a volunteer to me in this district. It's fun. It's great. You get to ride in fire engines in the parade. You get to, play with the sirens and squirt water. It's great. It's fun. It's a little work. You train, you drill. But I think the most rewarding part about being a volunteer firefighter is the opportunity, the skills, and the ability to help people in this community, which most likely is their most darkest and scariest hour. So that's what it means to me. So with all that, I will turn the floor back to Denise.
All right.
Thank you.
So next up, we actually have Danielle Murchie. She's another firefighter in EMT. She joined in 2013, became an EMT the next year, and this year went to the National Fire Academy in Maryland and represented us extremely well for EMS incident command training, being in the top group of the class. As I've gotten to know her, I've realized she spends a lot of time being amazing just in the background, puts in a ton of time, as many of our volunteers do. A lot of it raising money for the association, so that goes to pay for things like the chairs and tables that you see in here. A lot of the things that make the station nice, but it saves the tax money for spending that on things like upgrading our equipment, the safety equipment, things like that. So that's been really nice to have. So if you'd like to come up.
That's probably the nicest introduction I've ever had. I should just record it, listen to it every morning. So like she was saying, I am a volunteer firefighter EMT. I'm not a commissioner, I'm not a chief, I'm not a captain. I'm just the person that goes to calls and helps our citizens as much as we can. I want to touch bases and go over a couple of points of why this station is so important to us. For a lot of you guys, has anyone else been north on San Juan Lasac and then tried to use your phone? You can't. So whenever there's an emergency, people always have to come into this area in order just to even try to dial into 911. I know as an EMT, I have spent several calls in the middle of the last resort parking lot trying to help citizens and patients get them on their way with the medic service. Now we can get them in out of the elements, we can just bring them into the station, help them in private. That's kind of a big deal when you're working in EMS. Another really great thing is that we have the town of Ronald, and then we have all of the outskirts. And surprisingly, per statistics, roughly half of those calls, of the total calls that we get per year, are actually not in the town of Ronald. They're in all these outlying areas. It's a structure fire just across the street a couple years ago. It's a medical that's just down the road. So this station actually is going to be used quite a bit, and probably more than we ever thought it would be. Our commissioners have worked incredibly hard on getting and purchasing apparatus for us. And then we have a firefighter who's Lieutenant Chris Pauley, who's actually in charge of maintenance for us. So he takes care of all those apparatuses, whether it's engine, tenders, brush trucks, 8 unit. What we ran into is that we needed all of those apparatus, but we didn't have enough room for everything. So everybody was kind of trying to finagle, well, I can fit this here and I can fit that there, just one or two. So now we can actually have all the apparatus in here. You may notice behind me a 1944 engine. This actually doesn't get stored here. It actually goes down to the historical station, which is just downtown by the old number 3. Due to amazing citizens and other volunteers that are on our Firefighters Association, we were able to raise over $5,000 to renovate that building. Once that's done later this year, we'll put that back in there, but then we have this open space. So what do? So the association was able to raise over the last 2 years enough funds to purchase a side-by-side off-road vehicle as well as a customized rescue trailer. So if you crash your snowmobile over here, we're gonna get you. And if you live in Pine Bluff Sun, we're gonna get you even easier. So this station is actually incredibly paramount to District 6. It allows us to not only get to where we need to go even faster and have supplies even closer, but it's gonna help us help our citizens to the most paramount. Thank you so much.
So the last two that have been part of the Board of Commissioners, we've got Dick Stoops and Janine LeBlanc. Can I have both of you make your way up here? So Janine's been our Secretary and Treasurer. And she's the one that makes sure we pay all our bills and our paperwork's done correctly and keeps all of us in line. And last but not least, most of you should all know Dick Stoops by now, but if you don't, now's your chance to thank him for all of his years of service to the district. I don't even remember how far back you go, Dick, and when you started, but
1984.
A lot of years. So he was our neighbor originally when my husband and I first moved here 20 years ago, and he's the one that talked us into joining the department in his subtle, persuasive way. As you know, the district wouldn't run without volunteers, and it's your neighbors that fill that role. So, in fact, anyone who has been a District 6 volunteer, current or past, raise their hand. All right. So he's been a volunteer firefighter, commissioner, and our financial guru from the start. He developed our bookkeeping system and has spent years making sure we spend very wisely, as he was our most recent treasurer before Janine stepped into that role. He helped train Janine and was our financial manager and project engineer through the whole station building process. His guidance towards thrift made it possible for us to do things like add EMS in an aid car without raising taxes, and save enough to pay cash for the purchase of this property when we started this whole project. His meticulous spreadsheets and financial modeling allowed us to be able to move forward in the construction of the station. So it's for all those reasons that we couldn't think of a more fitting person to dedicate this station to.
Oh, that's awesome.
Going to read, Kittitas County Fire Protection District 6 Station 2 is hereby dedicated to Dick Stoops, project engineer and financial manager, in honor of his vision and dedication to the construction and completion of this facility. With our sincere appreciation for his leadership and commitment, and with special thanks to the citizens of the Kittitas County Fire Protection District 6. On this date, October 1st, 2016.
Awesome.
So being that we're a fire station, instead of cutting the ribbon, we are going to be uncoupling the hose out front. So if everybody would like to make their way out front, I think the weather's holding and we should be able to do that.